So, something that I see a lot, which holds a lot of people back, is I guess what we deem as our measures of progress. And a lot of the time, it comes based off ways that we perceive progress in the past. Or, like, when we embark upon like a fitness journey or on our way to an outcome, we usually have a certain goal or a certain idea of what we want to achieve in pursuing this. And along the way, we experience different things, we fail, we learn, we grow, and if we don't allow ourselves to adapt and pivot with what we gather along the process and what we start to feel, then we start to become like this shell of chasing goals. Kind of like when I relate it to myself, I started, like, you start off with all the good intentions, and along the way, you start to get carried away with the dopamine hit of this little dog, with the dopamine hit of like achieving certain outcomes, check boxes. If weight loss is your goal, which weight loss shouldn't be the goal, it's part of the process on the way to your goal. But if that's the journey you're embarking on, you start to get carried away with like, oh my God, I'm losing weight, this feels amazing. Or the scale's going down, or I'm getting compliments, woo, woo, woo. And that's actually the reason I came to talk on here, is because we start to attach our worth, our success, our meaning, our worth to the compliments that we get. We attach it to not only the compliments that we get, but like just the dopamine hit of seeing numbers go down. And I had a few conversations with quite a few people in their progress with me and how much energy they're feeling now, how much better they're sleeping, the fact they have energy throughout the whole day, they're feeling stronger, they're able to actually concentrate more, focus more, they're actually pooping better. Like all of these amazing changes that they're having in their life, but then it's almost like, oh, but then this person complimented me, which is really, really good, and blah, 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 and then beating themselves up for some other things, and it's like, you place your worth on, like, it's almost like you needed that reassurance, that validation from other people complimenting you, saying they noticed the changes. It's almost like if that wasn't there, then you wouldn't feel as satisfied with what you're doing, because it'll be like, oh, is this working? And that kind of works the same with like checking yourself on the scales. Oh, I feel so good right now. Let me just check the scales to see if there is actually stuff going on. And the same can go with when you're not as consistent with your habits for a week, and then you step on the scales and it's just like, I'm going to see if I fell off so bad, or if I fucked up a lot, or whatever it is. Let's see if the scales say that I fucked up. And coming into it with like the caveat, oh, I'm not placing my work on the scales or anything. I just want to see if I fell off track that bad. Okay, so the scale still goes down. What would have happened if the scale went up? Then what? Then what? So you are actually placing your work on the scale. And the same with progress photos. Oh, I'm feeling amazing, blah, blah, blah right now. I'm making all these changes. Let's see if my progress photos show as much change as I feel like I've made. What if they didn't? Are you going to let that now yo-yo you off? Because now you're actually making a hell of a lot more progress than you ever had before. You're doing things that you've never done consistently before. So there comes a place and time where you need to get really careful with what it is you're marking as progress, as pass, as fail, as I'm doing good. Because it gets to a point where it can actually be harmful. It can actually be the thing that sets you off on a yo-yo. Especially at the start. Because at the start, you see changes. For most people, you can see changes pretty drastically at first. But it never continues in that linear pattern. And then what? But for other people, like, if you're not in a place to actually focus on, like, an intentional fat loss phase, and it's more about getting consistency. Like, I have 3 girls at the moment, 2 of which I just mentioned in that little ramble, that the focus isn't purely fat loss right now. It's getting consistency. It's getting them to learn to not go to food for emotions, to actually create better habits and eating more protein, eating more veggies, and focusing on the right stuff with training and building confidence in themselves by doing what they said they'll do. And 2 of them are ones that have made immense progress in the first month. But that's the thing. We're not actually focusing on fat loss right now, but because they're doing the habits, they're feeling so much better. They have all of these things that they just said they feel, and other people are noticing it. But then it's like you feel the need to measure yourself up. You feel the need to get that validation, that reassurance. Okay, but what if there weren't changes there? Did all of that progress you just made go down the toilet because now you're going to say fuck it and put your hands up in the air? Oh, I'm not seeing any progress. Oh, boo-hoo. So it becomes really important to get that clear. I do have a video coming out very soon on just how important it is to self-check yourself before you wreck yourself. But another thing is to realize that sometimes you do have to go through the shit before you get fit, and sometimes you will look worse before you look better. And like, for some people this might mean that you look worse in your fat loss phase because, like, when you're pushing it really hard because your body's stressed out a lot, and then now you're inflamed and you're holding a lot of water, but not everybody falls under that category. And then there's the shit before the fit, like me right now. Okay, it's not looking shit, but there are times where I am, like, most of the time, I am looking really bloated. I am feeling really full because I'm eating a lot more food. And I like my volume meals, and that's, like, I would prefer to be full and satisfied eating big meals and have a full belly than not eat those meals and then be hungry and not feel happy with that, even though I'm in a surplus. But it's like, yes, you're going to have to push your body to this extreme of building, and it's going to look shit, not really look shit, it's just in your head it might look shit, or you might look fuller and your belly might not always be empty and you might not always be hungry, but it's just like the shit before you get to the fit, because then your body starts to adjust to it, your body starts to respond, and you start to look a lot better going in that direction. So it kind of works both ways. It's just like you need to be happy with yourself outside of those external measures, outside of the validation. Because if you aren't validating yourself, then who are you living for? Who are you doing this for? And who are you putting your happiness on? Who are you putting your self-worth on? And yeah, that's pretty much what I wanted to touch on. So, yes.